Today's video is brought to you by our friends over at Guard.io. Guard.io is a desktop and mobile protection tool that serves to protect you from constantly evolving threats online by blocking malicious websites, providing you with protection from malware and real-time alerts whenever your information is leaked, protecting you from those nasty phishing attacks. Two new features Guard.io has added to their constantly evolving roster of protection are browsing protection features for mobile devices that block any malicious link coming your way. And what I consider to be one of the largest threats online is a new patented technology of social account protection, which safeguards your logins to platforms such as Facebook, X, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Each account from Guard.io covers both desktop and mobile and for additional users, so you can keep you and your family safe. They offer our community 7 days free trial and 20% off their monthly subscription. So if any of this interests you and you want to keep you and your family safe, head on over to www.guard.io/SOG and start your trial today. Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and is your Google account safe? Ladies and gentlemen, maybe not. Is any account safe? Are you safe? Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to look at a hack that can apparently persist all the way through password resetting. Now you might be like, ladies and gentlemen, hold on a second. Every time I change my password, I should be safe, right? Wrong. Apparently what we're looking at today is the chance for your Google account to get apparently hacked even after you do reset your passwords. Hackers, scummy ones, can still have access to your emails, YouTube account, God knows what kind of sensitive photos you got stored on your Google photo drive, or even your drive in general. Got a saucy document that you've been working on? Well, it's out there for you and the hacker that potentially looked into your system. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to understand, how do you know that you've been hacked, okay? Well, generally what you'll notice is your passwords have been changed, or, your accounts on YouTube. For instance, if your YouTube channel gets hacked, you might notice, whoa, you wake up the next day, my channel isn't Some Ordinary Gamers anymore. It's TeslaBot number 382. And I'm shilling some stupid live stream that gets taken down by YouTube in like 12 hours anyways. But the point is, when you get hacked, sometimes you can tell, sometimes you can't. And when you are hacked, it's not the end of the world, but I've talked to people who have thought, maybe just changing the passwords is enough. Well, that is if you don't know the term session hijacking, okay? Now, I've talked about it in the past, and usually the layman definition here is, those things on your computer that you call cookies, some of you will call them tokens. Well, they're designed to make the internet a lot less, filled with friction. So when you're logging into your favorite service like Google, like YouTube, like Microsoft, like Xbox, PlayStation, whatever service you're using, you probably hate clicking the sign on button and signing in for every single thing. Well, to take care of a lot of, private, secure requests, usually tokens are used so that you can kind of mask and sort of stop annoying people who are using your service. So imagine if you had to log in every time to use Twitter to make a tweet. You'd probably use it even less than you do. Same with Facebook, same for YouTube, same for anything. But what happens when a hacker steals those tokens? What if they yoink them out of your computer? Well, they could use it to do nefarious things on your behalf. So this one actually got blown open by a company known as CloudSec that actually talked about this on December 29, 2023. And this is where they said, compromising Google accounts, malware's exploiting an undocumented OAuth 2 functionality for session hijacking. Now, it might sound like moon runes to some people over here, but session hijacking is session hijacking. Basically, what hackers here are doing are grabbing those tokens, and even after you reset a password, apparently they're still able to access your Google account, which I wanted to get down exactly how this is happening. Now, one of the first showcases was this message post in Telegram. Now, Telegram is an anonymous messaging service. A lot of people use it for privacy. There's a lot of people that also use it to share their latest hacks and sell them on the internet. But this organization started to say 0 day, and no, I don't know how to speak Russian. So thankfully to machine learning and translation, this translates to roughly to 0 day, solving the problem with incoming sessions of Google. The session remains valid when the account password is changed. Generation of valid cookies in case of logout. So this is really scary when initially I read this, because usually when you log out of a session, change your passwords, things like that, you should generally be pretty safe. It should never be a thing where a token is somehow validated after things like a password reset or, God forbid, you go on and sign out of a thing. For instance, if you go to your Google account activity page, myaccount.google.com/device-activity, you'll notice that at least for this Google account, I'm signed in to quite a lot of areas. Now, obviously, I'm going to block out the city because I don't really feel comfortable showing exactly where I live. These are usually valid tokens to make sure that accessing from my computer, accessing from my phone can be something that is easy to do. Like I said earlier, if you had to keep signing in and fuddling around with authentication, using the internet would be annoying as fuck. So again, if you look through, you'll notice that some of these are actually really old logins. For instance, sometime in New York, on November 5th, 2023, I signed on to a YouTube account, to my YouTube account through a TV application. Now, obviously, this was in a hotel, and if I want to be safe, all I got to do is sign out, and now that TV will not validate with this account. Same thing with other things like old phones. I had a Galaxy Fold, about a year ago, so if I want to make sure I'm totally safe, sign the hell out of that account, and then we're actually good. Now, when one scumbag starts selling hacks, you bet the other scumbags in a row also start selling hacks all over the dark web and various hacker forums all over the internet. And these scumbags included people like Whitesnake. No, that's not a band that your parents used to listen to. You've got Medusa, you've got Rise Pro, you've got Radamantis, the list goes on. So overnight, a bunch of scumbags were selling this actual zero-day hack to every Tom and Jerry on the platform in the world. So when it comes down to people who say, can I be hacked? Look, at the end of the day, usually for hacks, you gotta be important. Nobody's gonna be burning hacks on you. But now we live in a world where you can buy this stuff as a service. So even if you're like a no-name script kiddie Steve, you can just buy a service from people that know what they're doing and use that against a whole litany of individuals. To give you an idea of how valuable a hack like this is, imagine you're a YouTuber, right? You've got a sizable YouTube channel. I get plenty of YouTubers that do come up and ask me, I think I've been hacked, what do I do? And generally I walk them through the same steps of revoking tokens, changing passwords, and refreshing everything around them, and then giving them a little bit of advice afterwards, telling them how not to get hacked, which I'll keep towards the end of this video. See, for YouTubers getting hacked, for them, their channel can go from something that makes amazing content to something that makes a scam video or like scam live streams and just gets like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars scammed out of the average person just by optimizing the SEO. Even if you're not a YouTuber, if you're somebody that has your primary email account through Gmail, or you're somebody that uses Google documentation, I do. If you're somebody that uses Google Sheets, if you're somebody that uses Google Photos or something to back up your system through Drive, then a lot of your information ends up being compromised and you are about as valuable as anybody else that exists. The amount of data you generate and, maybe if you have secure tokens stored for other things like banks, crypto applications, then you're somebody that is, again, a prime target. And it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's so easy to do, and you can do it at such a scale that they'll just hit every single person they reasonably can. Imagine if you download a product off of the internet, like that one time I showed you, the malicious OBS Studio, which was billed through Google Ads. Imagine if I downloaded it and it stole my YouTube tokens, and then all of a sudden, which that malware, from what I remember, could do, your account would be stolen and you'd go through a whole set of headaches. But, ladies and gentlemen, to give you an idea, this is who they're exactly striking for. Now, according to CloudSec, what they had found of interest over here was when they were looking at what kind of information was being extracted. Now, this is web data that this actual malware was quote-unquote extracting, and if you're looking over here, it was looking for the Gaia ID, which is Google accounts, and I believe it's the Google account and ID administration token. And of course, it was looking for the encrypted token and so on and so forth. And then, of course, if you looked at exactly what it was trying to decrypt, you can see that it was looking through your local folders for your multiple profiles on Google Chrome, and then it was extracting your encrypted Gaia ID token, the decrypted token, and basically running off with it. And what had happened was CloudSec had started digging in to a lot of the calls that this malware was making. And one of them ended up, from their research, leading back into the Google Chrome source code, which is where they found this specific mention in GaiaAuthFetcher.cc. Now, in this situation, what they found was network traffic annotation tag, and they were looking at the Chrome Google Authentication API. So inside over here, what they found was this request is used to set Chrome accounts in browser in the Google authentication cookies for several websites. For example, YouTube, like I said. Again, this isn't just google.com, this is every Google service you're going into, which involves YouTube, which involves Photos, which involves Gmail. The list goes on. And they had found this when it was requesting for the accounts.google.com/OAuth/multi-login, which is the endpoint that they found CloudSec was being exploited. Now that itself wouldn't be shocking, okay? This is stuff that we've seen from time and time again. Where it truly gets shocking in this situation is that when they used this Gaia ID token alongside the multi-login endpoint that they were exploiting, they could basically regenerate the Google service cookies. And effectively what that had happened was they could regenerate tokens even after apparently passwords were reset. Now you can imagine that for a lot of people who thought, I've been hacked, let me change the password, let me get rid of tokens. Not exactly, ladies and gentlemen. If you can actually have your tokens still work after a password reset, that is a scary virus. Now, as you can imagine, it gets really scary because usually people who just change their passwords think everything is safe. They waste a whole day realizing that at the end, not realizing, that after they spent their whole day, they could still be vulnerable and the whole rigmarole can start all over again. Now, what happened was Google actually ended up coming out and talking further about this situation where they actually said, Google, when they were asked by the Hacker News, Google is aware of recent reports of the malware family stealing session tokens. Attacks involving malware that steal cookies and tokens are not new. We routinely upgrade our defenses against such techniques, and to secure users who fall victim to malware in this instance, Google has taken action to secure any compromised accounts detected. And it's, however, important to note a misconception in reports that suggest stolen tokens and cookies cannot be revoked by the users. That is incorrect, as stolen sessions can be invalidated by simply signing out of the affected browser or remotely revoked via the user's device page, which again is probably the best way to handle it. That's exactly what I showed you in the beginning. But again, ladies and gentlemen, to give you a further close-up into it, this is not something that is new. Google has said it, I've said it, plenty of people have said this. So how can you make sure that you're protected going forward when you're dealing with the internet? Now, at least in Google's situation, they do have something known as enhanced safe browsing for your account. And if you do have an account that you feel can absolutely be at risk for being hacked, all you got to do is go to support.google.com/accounts, answer, just Google enhanced safe browsing for Chrome. And of course, as long as you turn that on for your specific account, this will actually add a little extra layer of safety to your system. Now look, at the end of the day, one of the things that I wanted to really go into was people who have their Google accounts at risk can happen entirely by keeping even all of their safeguards up. And what I mean by that is, even somebody like me that is constantly vigilant of all of this has basically brushed my way with my account, my YouTube channel, being hacked. And it's only through, again, severe paranoia at times that I've kept myself safe. To go back to that OBS example that I listed earlier, right? OBS is a very popular tool that I and many other YouTubers use for their videos. Now, OBS is so important for all of us that generally we just go to OBS Studio, we type it in, go to downloads. When I was on the Windows days, right? I downloaded the OBS Studio software, I install it onto my system, and I call it a day. Now, because of Google's ads being abused and exploited by basically selling out a scam, what I clicked on at that moment was a phishing website for OBS Studio. By downloading that version of OBS Studio, I could have given up my cookies for a YouTube login. Now, generally speaking, I keep my system incredibly safe. Even in that situation, my YouTube account would have been safe, because I take an extra step and start virtualizing my system. So yes, what I am known for on my channel, what I am known to talk about a lot, is virtual machines. And this is where I'm just going to tell you exactly how to keep yourself safe. Look, at the end of the day, your internet browser is the sole connection you have to all the websites in the universe, okay? All the websites in the world. And generally, most websites are safe, especially when you're using the HTTPS protocols, especially when you keep things strictly okay. Yes, things are going to get shady when you connect to the shady hentai website, the shady adult website, the shady website where the free games are located. All of those websites come with all of the malware imaginable, all of the scam advertising, and sometimes, if you are gullible enough, come with extensions that, once you install them, can cause serious harm to your internet safety. So your web browser is like the vector of attack. So what do? How do you protect your web browsing session? Well, using virtualization software like VirtualBox, like God's gift to the world, QEMU, libvirt, KVM, the Linux way where I play gaming virtual machines on, which may be a little too complicated for the average person, but to keep it easy, VMware is a really great solution, VirtualBox is solid, and if you're on Macintosh, I think they have like UTM, or they also have like, sorry, I thought of like a urinary tract infection. You also have something known as Parallels, but a lot of the software on Mac is surprisingly paid for. That said, though, VirtualBox, VMware, at least their non-commercial player edition, is something you can download right now, install on your computer, and you might be like, but Muda, I don't have a supercomputer. Most computers, even if you're not a gamer, even if you don't have a gaming computer, come with virtualization extensions and enough hardware for you to virtualize a copy of Windows 7, Windows 10, maybe even Windows 11, depending on how cancerous you want your VM to be. You can install all of them within minutes, and then actually start up a web browser within the virtual machine and browse to your heart's content. You could even watch 4K video within a virtual machine. Yes, it's possible, and it works very well. The reason why I always bring up the virtual machine strategy is that it creates a layer of separation on your system, right? So when you're browsing the websites that you go to, if you click on something shady, then just because you have browsed within that session, you should be fine. You can even make multiple different virtual machines for multiple different browsers. So for instance, being a YouTuber, being somebody that uploads my content, I have an entirely separate virtual machine for just uploading my YouTube videos. That means I sign into my YouTube's Google account, and I just have that account sitting in that virtual machine and only accessible by that system. I even added a password to the virtual machine just to add the extra layer of security. So when I'm done uploading a YouTube video and doing all the things I need to for YouTube, I close that virtual machine and it's gone. Then I fire up a totally different VM for a different account and call it a day. And it might sound cumbersome and weird, but creating that one layer of separation and taking the few minutes to set and provision that allows you to keep, in general, pretty safe on the internet. So when you are downloading something shady, when you have clicked on a link, all that can ever get infected is what's within that virtual container. And it works both ways. For instance, if you download something shady by mistake, even on your host computer, because your virtual machine is its own virtual container, chances are, not all, this isn't guaranteed, by the way, don't take this as a 100% guarantee, but there's a very little chance that something you launch on your host is going to immediately grab from the session browsers and cookies that are sitting inside your virtual machine. By all intents and purposes, they are effectively different computers. So these are just basic steps that you can take. The other thing is, just be careful on the internet, okay? A lot of stuff that you download, even if it's from a legitimate source, can be susceptible to things like supply chain attacks. Remember back when we looked at SolarWinds? Yeah, sometimes even when everything is released by official parties, sometimes a scumbag can, months in advance, put something nasty and nefarious within, and you only find out 6-7 months down the road that, yeah, we've been spied on the whole time. Time to start changing passwords and securing myself again. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the whole story of how Google has an exploit. Or I guess maybe had an exploit. It's been a few weeks. I'm sure Google has been on top of this to keep themselves safe. But, you know, at the end of the day, you keep yourself safe. Follow very basic tips, very basic advice, and you too can browse the internet in utmost safety. I don't make these videos to fearmonger. I make these videos to teach you exactly what's out there and how to keep safe. And it's a passion of mine. But ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mutahar, and next time there's a nasty, nasty hack, I'll be there to talk about it. This is me, Mutahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.